Hello, and thanks for joining us today. We're very excited to be talking to you today about the HawkSearch tool, kind of where we're going with the current functionality tool, where we're looking towards the future of the tool here. We got a lot of great information to present to you today. We're really happy that you're joining us for this conversation today. But let's start with some introductions so you know who you're talking to today. I'm Jonathan Meyer. I'm one of the senior solutions engineers for the Bridgeline team. I've been working with the HawkSearch tool for over 9 years now at this point. And I'm responsible for a lot of the demonstrations, technical scoping, and things like that. And I'll be handling kind of the back half of the conversation here today. Gavin, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself as well?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Jonathan. So for everyone that I haven't met yet that's joining this webinar, my name is Gavin. I am the VP of Sales for HawkSearch. I've been dealing with HawkSearch now for close to 3 years. We spend a lot of time on multiple platforms. We've got lots of really exciting stuff to show you guys. I'm looking forward to this webinar.
Excellent. Well, then let's dive right into it here. Gavin, I'll let you kind of dive into the overview here of HawkSearch.
Sure. Yeah. So for anybody that is new to HawkSearch that's joining us today, this is just really a very high level kind of overview of kind of what we are and who we are. So just to kind of revisit the obvious here, HawkSearch, we are a third-party AI search, merchandising, personalization, and recommendation platform. We're handling close to almost 1 billion searches a month now. We're sitting at around 3,500 implementations, and we have a really massive ecosystem. And what I normally mean by ecosystem is partners, SIs, connectors, pre-built APIs. We have a really large scale. We are a platform agnostic, meaning that we're able to really tie into basically any e-com platform that you're currently using if you're looking for more advanced search features.
Excellent.
Yeah, in a nutshell.
Yeah, the 40,000-foot view there, right?
Yeah,
Well,
very much.
let's go ahead and talk about one of the more exciting things here, where we're going to really kind of lead off, I think, some of the conversation here. A lot
Yeah,
of the
definitely.
improvements to
Yeah.
AI.
Yeah, so I mean, anyone that knows Hawk, we're really the leader in the B2B search space. Hawk itself was built for the B2B industry. Obviously, we obviously deal with the B2C. There's a lot of overlap in the feature sets now between both B2C and B2B world. But one of the really kind of I like to view this as a very much kind of an industry change in the way that your customers are now going to be able to access your calendar or your catalog. Sorry, it's Christmas. Thinking of calendars, but you're going to be able to access your catalog. And obviously, AI is a very hot topic at the moment. HawkSearch itself has been using AI since the kind of the beginning. We've got our machine learning and our AI capabilities already from the keyword perspective, meaning that we're going to remember search habits and patterns, partial matching and all those sort of everyday use cases that you're probably currently using. But the way that the world's kind of changing towards this is more of this concept search, which really allows you to, maybe you don't know a part number, maybe you don't know what this device is called, and you're able to really describe it in a problematic way. Well, we can now do that through the concept search. But the areas that are really exciting to me, and I think which would be really beneficial to your customer base, is the image search and image finder. So I like to look at this as like from a use case scenario. You've got a team on site doing a plumbing install or an HVAC install or electrical, and they don't know the part number. They need a part to finish the job. They have no other way of getting it. And only in this scenario, they'd have to leave the site, go to a counter, find the piece. Very time consuming. Now they can literally hold up their mobile phone, scan the image in directly in your catalog, and you're going to have your part number provided too. So very exciting stuff that we're really excited to launch. This is coming the later part of this year, early next year. And it's just going to be a phenomenal add-on to the already kind of technology that we're using in that search platform. And it really is going to open up your catalog to people in a different way. That concept search and the image search is really going to help drive business and average order volume for you guys.
And one of the cool things adding on to that there, Gavin, too, is that the image finder, I think, sometimes people think about, well, image finder, what is that? And that's really the AI analyzing the images of your product catalog and letting you type in a search basically for the image that you're looking for. And so we've seen this being useful for, for our B2C clients who maybe have like a retail book example. People can describe the cover of that book and it'll search the images of those covers to find an exact match.
Yeah.
So some really
Yeah.
cool use cases in each one of these, and we're going to be doing a demonstration of these in just a few minutes here to really show that,
Yeah.
like you said, this is coming very soon. We're already internally testing this and rolling this out to some clients internally to play around with. We're really excited for this functionality, and we're looking
Yeah. It's
forward
going
to
to be
showing
great.
it up here.
Yeah.
But Gavin, like there's a lot of
Like I
other
know.
features that come in the tool itself.
Yeah.
Let me run through those.
Yeah, definitely. So, this slide to me is always a very fun slide to show. And this is what I typically like to think of as really the top 5 areas where people really come to HawkSearch, where we kind of really see our skill sets and our feature sets coming into play. And I kind of started right from left here. We've already touched on kind of the machine learning concept that we already have in place. This is only enhanced with the new AI functionality, but where we really separate ourselves is kind of that marketing capability. As everyone knows, B2B space, customer entitlements, customer restrictions, customer price listing, any sort of restrictions based geographically, all of these kind of daily use cases that you're using um, can be managed independently under our dynamic marketing. So what I mean by that is you can create shopping experiences for, say, a government contract versus, one of your larger customers. They might have a certain brand that they like. They might only shop, in a certain region. They might have distinctive jargon. There's all these capabilities that you can do in the marketing component of HawkSearch, which doesn't require any sort of code. You're not reliant on an IT person to implement these sort of changes. You can have multiple users within your company. You can have your marketing. You could have a experience manager. You could have sales, all interacting with the tool itself, and all can be kind of structured individually and personalized. Next one is obviously the recommendations. That's where you're going to see your growth. We have 17 strategies, which is, probably a leader in the industry from that perspective. 6 of them we can completely personalize, which is just going to overlap with that marketing component. And 4 are what we like to call dynamic, meaning that they are going to change as the user is kind of developing or shopping through the site. It's going to update and continually kind of provide smart recommendations, which is going to overall increase your market and average order volume. Next one, especially in the B2B space, is our unit of measure. This is our SIM tool. This is a phenomenal tool. And this really takes all of those kind of synonym lists and things that you're constantly trying to maintain in terms of unit of measure conversions, like imperial to metric, inch, can be either quotations or spelt, or it could be half a foot if it's 6 inches. You have all of these different variants on how people search. Our unit of measures kind of built directly into Hawk. This allows us to normalize your data and help drive more relevant results for you, regardless of how that unit of measure is searched as well. And then we kind of get into the advanced capabilities, right? Which is, like I mentioned, customer entitlements, advanced SKU searching, partial SKU searching. There's all sorts of different ways of doing this, as well as we have a massive suite of analytics. We have trending reporting. We have all sorts of touch points that are really going to help you drive that business, or maybe find out where your site might be lacking from a relevancy result as well. So from that component, when you pair this kind of feature set alongside of this new layer of AI, it's going to really bring a whole new experience to the shopping experience, as well as the functionality, uptime, you name it. It's just going to be an amazing combination of features. So
Yeah, I think it's a really cool kind of layout of, we have such a good feature set in the keyword search space, and we're
yeah,
obviously not abandoning that as we're moving forward here, but really kind of delivering these new ways of getting of helping product discovery, really, of
yeah,
not just thinking search, but discovery is really where we're seeing this kind of going forward for.
yeah. I mean, especially like when you're dealing with B2B, you've got 500,000 products, right? I mean, the discovery aspect of that is ginormous. People are also creatures of habit. They might shop the same bit over and over again, and our keyword search is obviously going to drive them directly to that spot. But you have a huge catalog that has lots of other potential and chance for upgrowth, and the combination of both the AI with our already really kind of elevated feature set on the keyword side is just going to open that completely up to your customers.
Excellent. Well, let's get into showing all that stuff off here. So let's get into that
Yeah, let's do it.
demonstration. I'll go ahead and share my screen here, and we'll go ahead and make this a little bit easier for everyone to see. And we'll go ahead and start jumping into some of this. So we do want to lead off with that AI functionality we were highlighting there on an earlier slide. And so to demonstrate that, like I said, we're kind of in the ready to deploy this out. So we've got this internally testing on our end here. So we have this nice kind of site that we've built out to play around with and test the functionality. It's using a kind of a outdoor camping, hiking kind of catalog, something for us to start with and kind of play around with how the functionality will work, how we can drive the UI around all of this, the kind of the whole experience. How can we help deliver that? And so internally, we're referring to this as kind of the search trifecta. Having your classic keyword search, like we're seeing here, being able to switch over to a concept-based search, and of course, full support for those image-based approaches of either searching on an image or describing the image that you're looking for. And so, of course, we can, start with the classic keyword search here. Hey, I'm looking for some hiking shoes, being able to go ahead and execute that search and pull back in the results there for that, making sure that, we got the merchandising banner, your results. And keep in mind, all of the kind of classical AI functionality that HawkSearch offered from the keyword search perspective is still working in this environment. We are still looking at, well, what are your visitors interacting with? What are they adding to their shopping carts? What are they converting off of? And helping let machine learning drive those results and improve the ranking of those products using those signals, even using personalization. So again, really leaning into that AI end to say, well, we know, oh, it's John who's browsing the site. We know he's bought this brand in the past. We know he likes this color. He's in this size. Versus Gavin, who has a different brand preference, a different color preference, different sizes that he's looking for. So really, that keyword search functionality was already very intelligent and was leveraging a lot of kind of dynamic, signals to help improve the experience automatically. But these kind of experiences, when we're thinking about a keyword search here, does have some limitations. And that's where, if we had specific kinds of questions that we were looking to ask it, or we were searching in terms that might not appear in the data, but that as human beings we understand are conceptually the same thing. The example that I'd like to use here, just really clearly show this off, is if I'm on this kind of camping site and I was to, I'm getting ready to go on a camping trip and I know that I'm going to be cooking while I'm out there, I might come to a search box like this and say, what do I need to bring with me to cook on a camping trip? And if I execute that search, we're going to get back in a result, which is actually still, again, kind of showcasing some of the impressive functionality of HawkSearch. It is able to parse a query like this and still find some relevant results for this. Bringing a universal stove along with you is kind of a thing that you might want to think about when going out on a camping trip. But we know this catalog has a lot more information around it that is not getting captured by this keyword search, because what's happening here from a keyword search perspective is it's stripping out a lot of this and just looking for the words that it can match. It's finding camping, it's maybe finding cook, and those terms might appear somewhere in the long description for this product. And so that's the match there.
I mean, they could also be buried in the attributes, or they could be in there could be some descriptive note somewhere that is trying to pull on.
Exactly.
As well.
It's such a data-driven approach of finding those exact matches to drive the results. It's not understanding the intent. It's not understanding the concept of what we're trying to search against. So to demonstrate that, now if we go over to this concept search, this is going to look at all of the product catalog. It's going to look at all of the same kind of data, the names of the products, the categories of the products, the short descriptions, the long descriptions, the attributes, and it's going to look at those not from a perspective of an exact match, but what are the terms that are in those data actually mean? So let's give you an example here. Let's ask that same question. What do I need to bring with me to cook on a camping trip? And now we're getting much more relevant results. We've gone from one result to 25. We're finding the utensils that you might need to bring along with you if you're going camping and you're cooking on a camping trip. The travel griddle and stove, the ladles, just a travel stove itself, the food that you might want to bring along with you. Like, these are all things that were in the catalog originally, but the keyword search wasn't finding it because of the way that I posed that question, because these products don't have camping and cooking directly related to them. But the concept is there. If I'm looking to go on a camping trip and I'm wanting to understand what do I need to bring with me to cook on that camping trip, these are all relevant things that the concept search is understanding, these are things that might match against that and pull back in those results for you.
Yeah, and another really good example of what this is doing is it's really resolving that data issue that you often run into in discovery. You don't have, you might be pushing your data in from an ERP, or your suppliers are providing you different descriptions, and you're trying to maintain all of this sort of data structure. When you're trying to search it on a keyword perspective, you can obviously see that it's not structured in a way that you're going to find what you're looking for, even though your catalog holds everything. So this is kind of killing two birds with one stone in a sort of sense, right? That you can have all these descriptions coming in. You don't really have to try and maintain that to that upper level that you do sometimes with a keyword, where you can allow the concept to take the overall view of your data and be able to return results. So it's a super exciting area for us.
Yeah, and I mean that concept of, like you're talking about, of setting up synonyms. If we were to change this and say that we're looking for, gear for hiking, this is going to pull back in a wide range of results where gear is such a nebulous generic term here, but it's finding all the things that go along with that. You might need a backpack. You might want to bring a walking stick along with you. There are obviously shoes. You want to have the right footwear when you're doing this kind of a thing. So these kind of terms of being able to put in a search term that is more generic, more conceptually based, more question focused, and have the search understand that and pull back in relevant results is really exciting. We think this is going to be a very important tool going forward for a lot of our clients to really, like you said, open up that product discovery, make it something that your visitors on your site can find what they're looking for very easily. But let's move into the last part here, the image-based search, because this is really one of the other very cool things that we're able to do now with this kind of AI-based approach to searching. And this has two aspects to it. One is, of course, your kind of classic search by image. Now, obviously, this would work through a mobile device. If I'm on this site, I'm on my mobile device, I can open up my camera application, take a photo, and upload that through this as well. But here we're on a desktop experience, so let's get an image. And just to prove this out here, we're going to jump just out to Google Images, and I'm going to say that I'm looking for some snow goggles here. And we're going to go ahead and pull back in some results for that. Obviously, a wide range of results here. One of the ones that I like to highlight, though, is if we go and take this particular image here, this is a little bit complex. This is kind of a closer image here. We've got a head-on perspective of the snow goggles themselves, so we're not in profile. We're looking at this from a head-on perspective. We've also got other items that are in this. We've got a helmet that's being returned in here. We've got the jacket as well. The nice thing about the way that the AI image search works within HawkSearch is if we go ahead and take this and just drop that into our search by image here, it's going to go ahead and analyze that image, and the AI says, okay, well, what do we believe is in this? And then we can see here as we scroll down, it is finding those snow goggles, even though the perspective is very different from what belongs in our catalog. Because what's actually happening here is it isn't looking for, well, what does this image look like versus what is the image that you've uploaded? The AI is actually analyzing this image and saying, oh, this is snow goggles, and understanding in this that, oh, this is also snow goggles. The perspective might be very different, but it's analyzing it to try and understand what is in that image and then finding the match in the back end. So doesn't need to be a one-for-one. Oh, it needs to be the right angle. It needs to be the right light, the right color. It can really kind of understand what is in that image while finding a match for it. So the nice thing here too is that it also understands there are other items in this image. So one of the classic kind of limitations with image search in the past has been this idea of you have to be a professional photographer to frame out the photo to get exactly what
image. Exact image. Yeah.
So in this, the intention might have been to be searching for the helmet, but he also had some snow goggles. Well, the AI image search here within HawkSearch is intelligent enough to understand there might be multiple matches on that. And so it will start to pull in other matches like the helmets that we're seeing in there. So it's not just identifying the one thing in here. It's the primary focus. It's centered in that image. And so that's what it's going to lead off with and making suggestions for. But it also does understand that, like you said, you don't need to be a professional photographer. Maybe it was the helmet that you were looking for. It can then also find those matches within this image search as well. And so since it's understanding the actual content of the images in your catalog, it can work the other way around. So instead of providing an image and saying, hey, I'm looking for these things in this image, I can describe the image that I'm looking for. I can say that I'm looking for, a black helmet. And it'll go ahead and find the most relevant image for that is available in our catalog and then start to work its way out and say, oh, well, here's the black helmet. But, this isn't entirely black, but it's the next closest in terms of color. And then moving into other helmets that have black aspects to their particular image. So it's analyzing the image itself and finding the match there.
Yeah. And this is like a massive difference between the keyword
Hmm.
approach to this. This would be what you would call like a variant logic in a keyword scenario where you would have to have your catalog. So the black helmet would be the parent, and then
Hmm.
all the different color variations would become in as the child, and those are all different data points. And so, this really kind of helps with that entire process as well, because you're trying to obviously you have to have all of those things relate in a keyword perspective to get that kind
Yeah.
of result back as well. So now we've just literally typed in what image we need, and it's returning it, and it's giving you the variants along with it already, which normally a lot of search platforms have a really difficult time with variant logic, and it just becomes a very kind of large scale thing that you're managing. So this is just really helping tune that correctly as right out of the gate, which
Yeah,
is
it's
awesome.
it's very,
Yeah.
very impressive, and one of the other nice kind of benefits
Mm,
that you get on top of this that we don't usually get a chance to talk about a lot is that this also supports 50 different languages out of the box. So you
yeah.
don't then have to worry about doing translation services. Your catalog might be in English, but suddenly you're getting into like the German catalog here. We can go back to that idea of a concept search here, and I can say, oh, I'm looking for gear for hiking, and if I just take that and let's throw that into Google Translate, and let's say that I'm looking for this in Spanish, we'll go ahead and copy that, and we can throw that same kind of search now into our concept search, and it's going to find the same kind of ideas here for that concept of what do I need to go searching, or what do I need to bring with me on a camping trip
Hmm.
here. So really cool stuff that we can do with that kind of translation services without needing to translate our product catalog to make sure that we're finding the right results.
Awesome.
So that was a lot of great kind of AI functionality. We're really happy with kind of how this all comes together and where we're going with this. And we're really looking forward to the future and this next year, getting this into our clients' hands and possibly your guys' hands, where you can see where we're going with this. But there is, of course, a lot of great functionality we have in the tool to begin with. And so let's go ahead and talk about kind of some of the other things that we've already solved for, that are already live with our clients, that are taking advantage of built-in functionality within HawkSearch to help drive great results. Because obviously, while the AI search is super impressive, we think this is going to have some really great functionality for our clients. There's a lot that we're doing already to help our clients, especially in the B2B space. And so, one of the things I think we can lean off with here is the ability for us to handle complex unit of measurement searches. Gavin, you had that as part of your feature slide there,
Yeah.
where you were showing off kind of, here's what's already in the tool, and how we're kind of really built
Yeah.
for a lot of B2B use cases here. And so, let's give you an example here of a client of ours that is using this unit of measurement conversion that allows HawkSearch to understand intelligently what the search terms are that your visitors are providing, regardless of kind of how the data is structured.
Yeah, and let me just jump quickly
Yeah.
before you do it. And what Jonathan's really meaning by how the data is structured is kind of what we refer to like a normalization. So in terms of, Crescent Electric, a huge catalog, multiple vendors, multiple suppliers, and they're all having their descriptions given to them via the supplier. So nothing is really structured the same. So
Yeah.
what that has really allowed them to do is use our sim and normalize everything to still get the same results back without having to kind of like manually maintain this all individually. So we kind of breeze over that a lot when we're talking, just because we
Yeah.
talk about it so much. But I just really wanted to explain, if someone hasn't quite seen how this works. You get two aspects to the sim, right? One is the normalization, and one is the conversion on the units of measure. So it's a very cool tool.
And you can actually see that in action here. So I've searched for 6 double quotation, obviously meaning inch, and the results that we're finding here, to Gavin, like your point there, the way that they're getting this from their vendors is different from each vendor. So this vendor passes it along the unit of measurement of inch as INCH. This vendor uses double quotation. This other vendor uses INCHES. And so there's inconsistency in the data. And in the past, this meant that the search would really only find the ones that matched exactly. In this use case here, I've done a search for 6 double quotation. Well, in the past, we probably would have only found 2 of these results because those were the exact matches. The double quotation wouldn't have found INCH, it wouldn't have found INCHES. But because of this unit of measurement conversion functionality that we have within HawkSearch, we're able to understand the pattern there, the kind of the relationship between these values to say, oh, well, we know that 6 double quotation can also mean INCH. It can also mean INCHES. And it can even be values that don't exist in the data. So to understand that, if I say that I'm looking for 6IN PVC end cap, so go ahead and not use double quotation, not use INCH, put that as one word. We're not putting a space in there, which is also another thing that will usually trip up a lot of search engines.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
HawkSearch here, we understand that this is a pattern, 6IN, that can mean 6 double quotation, can mean 6INCH. And so we're getting the same 4 search results, even though I'm now using a data point that doesn't actually even exist in their catalog, but the tool understands what the actual intent is there. And then we can go even further than this. So it can be things that are like, I've been using a whole number, but let's jump over to a fraction. Another thing that classically will trip up search engines. In the HawkSearch world here, though, we understand what that actually means. We can then parse that value out. You'll notice that we're also now going from inches to feet and an abbreviation of feet. We're not using FET, we're using FT. But the tool understands that if I'm talking about a foot, that can contain 12 inches. And so if I'm looking for half of a foot, we're actually, another value that we could look for would be 6 inches. And so even though half foot appears in none of these product descriptions, it understands the mathematical, what is the actual value that we're looking for there could mean 6 inches. It's the pattern that we're looking at there. And so we're
Yeah,
seeing
and it's also taken it from imperial to metric. So think of the opportunity from a business perspective. You've got a Canadian store, you've got US store. You can have all of these conversions happening automatically without you having to independently have 2 fully separate indexes, 2 separate synonym lists, like all of this maintenance that kind of goes out of the door by letting the tool do the conversions for you.
Yeah, 100%. And actually here, just to kind of help demonstrate that, I'm pulling up the list of kind of all of the built-in unit of measurements that HawkSearch already understands. So we've been showing you length, but like Gavin was just talking about there, we were doing feet and inches. Well, within this concept of length, HawkSearch also understands that imperial to metric conversion. So how many centimeters are in an inch, how many yards are in a mile, and be able to convert against those and all of the various ways that unit of measurement might be supplied. And it's not just length. It can be things like weight. So how many grams are in an ounce? How many pounds are in a ton? Volume and capacity, capacitance, current, electrical resistance, just kind of on and on. The one that I always think is really impressive here is if we scroll a little bit further down, again, through all of the other ones that we actually support here, is this concept of volumetric flow, because not only are we doing conversions between imperial and metric, we're also handling time as a value here. So how many cubic feet per minute versus how many gallons per hour. Just really complex conversions that we're handling here. And again, look at all of the various ways that someone could submit that unit of measurement value. We understand those patterns. We'll be able to understand all the various ways that those values can be passed along and do those conversions for our clients. And it works from both ends. So it's the search request that we're also understanding, as well as the data that we're also normalizing.
Yeah. And this is, and also too, for anyone that's kind of new to HawkSearch, this is an ever evolving list as well. It's the one really cool thing with HawkSearch. It is not a stagnant platform. These are continually being updated and improved as we run into different customer scenarios. I know we have sound coming next on our next launch as well. So we have this continual growth on kind of these measurements. So it really opens the door for different industries. If your business is going in a different route, you have all of these kind of capabilities that are supported for your use case as well.
And so let's get into some of the other kind of pain points that we see in the B2B world, because this is obviously one of the key ones. But then the next one I think would be kind of entitlements, understanding customer specific part numbers, handling warehouse availability. And so again, we really.
And I was going to say too, John. I was going to say quickly, Jonathan, and just so this is something that is native to us. This is out of the box functionality with HawkSearch. I know that we've been in a lot of competitive scenarios. It's a competitive industry. We're aware of this, but this is a native scenario to us. And this is often a really this is a large deciding factor for a lot of people, is how can I personalize? How can I make my larger account feel personalized? How can I tailor their shopping experiences? But where does all of this data come from? It's yours. So all we're doing is using your touch points, and we're able to entitle, so we call it visitor targeting. We're able to divide that out, and this is all out of the box functionality for HawkSearch. Just to highlight that quickly.
No, it's a very good point to highlight, is that this is not some kind of custom bolt-on, we do a huge development cycle. This is native functionality of the tool that's baked in from day one. So let's give an example here. So real quick, kind of the most straightforward example I can give you is if I here on Kirby Risk and I do a search for sensors. we'll go ahead and pull back on our results here for that search term. And we've got a very large set of data. We've got 5,000 plus sets of results here. But the majority of these results are being returned from a singular brand name, Allen Bradley. You might also be familiar with them as Rockwell Automation.
Yeah.
They're returning in 4,430 of the 5,000 plus results. So almost all of those results are coming from just this one brand. But the limitation that Kirby Risk has is they can't sell that at all of their different locations. And so they needed HawkSearch to help support this kind of entitlement to say, well, when we're at different locations, we need to make sure that we're showing the right set of catalog. So if I change my location here, this is going to change the entitlement with HawkSearch to say, well, if I'm looking at this instead from the Fort Wayne location, that's going to change the results. HawkSearch knows that entitlement, again, from that data perspective, like Gavin was just saying, this is all your data. We're just able to process it intelligently and display it accurately to how your visitors are browsing the site. So now that HawkSearch knows I'm looking for the results from Fort Wayne, we're able to go ahead and remove all of those Allen Bradley products from being returned here. We can even see if I do a search within that facet, which HawkSearch is also, again, just as a reiteration there, we're driving all the facets and filters here as well. We can see that Allen Bradley is not available at all here in these results because HawkSearch understands that at this location, at this entitlement, at this segmentation of the results, they're not available here. And we can even go a step further and then say, well, what's available in stock. So again, if we have this kind of data on hand to say what's in stock, what's out of stock, we can use these even at very specific locations like this to say, okay, if I'm going to walk into the Fort Wayne, Indiana location, I need to pick up a sensor right now. What could I do? And then using that segmentation data, HawkSearch can now filter against what is physically in stock at that location to show just the 10 results. So we started at 5,000. We went down to just the specific results from that Fort Wayne location. Now we're looking at just the ones that I can specifically walk in and buy. We went from 5,000 down to 10 results just by using that filter.
And you're not just restricted to the entitlements from a product level. You might be selling a product that requires maybe a license, or you have to have a certain qualification to be able to install a certain product. You can really, it's not just based location. You can use any of your preset kind of entitlement or your restrictions or customer groups, however you've got it broken out, and we can apply that. It doesn't strictly have to be maybe on the product level. There might be more to it that involves, approvals and so on. Any point that we have that we can access that will kind of help us segment those out, we can apply for you.
Definitely. And actually, I think let's give one more example there when we were thinking about it. It doesn't need to just be on a geographic region here. Let's go ahead and look for some copper wire. Because one of the things that we do from the HawkSearch perspective is we work very well with kind of part number searching and things like that. So if we think about not just entitlement from a perspective of a location, but like you were saying, individual visitors or I need to be authorized for this. One of the things that we can help showcase here on Kirby Risk is also how we support the customer specific part numbers here. So of course we can search on all of the other part numbers. HawkSearch has really great support for part number searching. So I can come up here and I can put in, the part number with no special characters, no, just all smushed together. We'll understand that. I can do a match on a partial for that. So I only put in the middle bit of that part number. We'll of course find the product, as well as of course being able to search on any of the other pieces of data here for like the Kirby Risk part number or one of the UPC codes and drop that in. So we have a really full featured part number search functionality within HawkSearch. But as an extension of that, kind of a meeting between the part number search functionality that HawkSearch offers and the kind of the support that we have for segmentation is this ability for us to do specific part numbers, custom pricing, things like that. So to help showcase this, I'm going to go ahead and really quickly log into one of our test accounts here that we have built out to showcase that this particular product, we do have a custom part number built in here, this XNA GRN. Now I can come up here to the search box and I can now search on that XNA GRN, and we can go ahead and pull back in the results here for that, and it'll find that product because this is my custom specific part number. But if we go ahead and log out now and I search for that same XNA GRN, we're going to see that we're not going to get any results because that doesn't exist because I'm not logged into the catalog here. We found no results because I'm not logged into my particular account. So just a real clear example of how HawkSearch can handle that kind of segmentation.
Yeah, and restrictions and everything that goes along with it. Yeah, and this is it's kind of crazy because I think we kind of take this a little bit for granted again. This is something that again is native out of the box for us, and this is an area that a lot of people want to kind of move into, having the ability to give their customers the ability to have an independent part number and so on like that. So again, all complete. out of the box functionality for us. We just need your data. That is it. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I know we're getting
Yeah.
close here. We've been talking a lot, and there's
We
still a
are.
lot more that we want to show. Let's maybe tackle the recommendations functionality, and then we can kind of move on to the
Yeah.
wrapping things up here.
Sure.
Let's go ahead and jump over for that. I want to show you Berlin packaging really quickly to showcase some of the recommendations functionality that we're doing here, because this speaks to, again, the complexities that we see in that B2B space. Like Gavin, like you're saying, some of this we just take for granted because we've
Yeah.
been working in this space for so long, but we understand that your catalog can have a lot of kind of relationship dependent accessories. So doing things like recommendations can't just be, oh, here's whatever, I'm looking at, in this case here, we're looking at bottles and jars. It can't just be whatever is in that same category, because there's specific relationships that need to be understood to drive what should be shown with that product. So a real quick example here, let's go ahead and just get back in some results here. And we'll go ahead and showcase the actual product recommendations. I'll go ahead and grab, let's grab this 16-ounce jar here. We'll go into the product detail page. And one of the things that you're going to notice here is that we are now on a product detail page. HawkSearch is driving the recommendations that we're seeing listed here. And these recommendations are being driven through that kind of relationship-based approach. But this is all data-driven and using that kind of machine learning to help understand what we should show. So in addition to the search functionality, we're even doing navigations, all that AI function that we showed you at the top of the call, we're also doing full recommendations here. And what's interesting about this is that this is more dynamically driven and understanding the relationships that are important for this product. So this product does not have a cap included. That's great. That tells HawkSearch that we should be making suggestions for caps. But you can't just show any cap for any particular bottle. There are particular sizes to be concerned about. But again, we're using the data that we have from the product catalog to understand that, well, when we're looking at this particular jar that does not have a cap and we want to make suggestions for caps that should be shown with it, we want to show caps that meet the size of 70-G450. And when we're looking over here at the accessories that are being returned, we're seeing those 70-G450 caps. So HawkSearch is using the data that we have to understand the relationships, to understand what we should show from a recommendations perspective. Works very well in this B2B space to be able to understand those relationships and be able to drive these automatically.
Yeah. Yeah. And the business case that surrounds recommendations. It's kind of funny because recommendations is very, very much utilized in the B2C space. Like I don't think anyone's really been on Amazon and not looked at a recommendation. They are there, they live there, they're everywhere. But when you start thinking about it from your B2B space, the use case and the business case that you can create with recommendations is powerful. So, if you're thinking of selling some conduit, or you're selling some, but that piece of conduit or requires this and this and this to complete an implementation, you can build that sort of structure out in your recommendations almost as like a kitting sort of bought with, or buy these together, which is something that's not often seen in the B2B space. So it allows you to kind of not only create the business case saying, all right, if you want to buy this, we recommend these go along with it, but you can also start selectively saying, I only want to make recommendations on a product that maybe is 10% more expensive. So if you're looking to grow your online business, or you're trying to create larger average order volume value, and all of these, you have all of that complexity between all the recommendations to create that. So it's a bit of a different spin when you're thinking of it in the B2B space, but the capability within HawkSearch can really help drive some new orders for you.
Yeah, we're really very proud of how this functionality works in that B2B space, and there's just a ton more in the tool here. We really don't, unfortunately, have a whole lot of time to dive into the back end of the tool, but just as where we encourage you to go from here is to let us know that there's a lot more that we can show you. There's a whole workbench that we didn't get a chance to dive into. All of the merchandising functionality that we have, the ability to do boosting and burying rules, set up visibility rules. We could dive deeper into all of the recommendation strategies that we have access to, the 16 or the 17 that we talked about earlier. There's a lot more that we could show you here. Definitely encourage you guys to come back in and, schedule a demonstration with us.
I know we didn't even get to talk about my favorite one, the global boost and bury. I know it's such an easy one, but it's my favorite feature. Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and kind of wrap this up here. I think where we should talk about next. So if you did want to see more about the tool, you maybe you'll get a more personalized demonstration. We're more than happy to have those kind of discovery conversations with you, understand what your specific pain points are, and make sure that we're building out a presentation for you that would really speak to your specific pain points. Hopefully what you saw here was interesting. We're really excited about the future. Obviously, we're very happy with the tool function that we have currently. Lots of things that we can help solve for you as your immediate pains, but obviously we've got a really keen eye towards that AI driven future here. So if there are any additional inquiries, if you're looking to reach out and schedule that demonstration, we got a real simple email that you can reach out to, hello@hawksearch.com. Go ahead and submit those emails there. Reach out. We'll be more than happy to follow up with you, get you that personalized demonstration. We really do appreciate you guys taking the time today to sit and see a little preview of what we have behind the snes. Gavin, thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks, Jonathan, as always.
And we'll see you guys in the future. Thanks.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.